For 14 volumes, I have reported a universe that arrived on a single messenger. Every temperature, every distance, every composition, every argument I made, and every one I conceded across the whole of this quest came to me on a beam of light, radio through gamma, one spectrum, one kind of wave, gathered by one kind of instrument. Light was not merely astronomy's best messenger. For 400 years it was its only one. This book is the account of the decade in which that stopped being true, and I set out to answer one question with it. What does the sky say when we finally listen for something other than light? And how much of what this series long argued survives the hearing? At 41 minutes past 4 on the morning of the 14th of September 2015, two machines on opposite sides of a continent felt the shape of space itself ring for a fifth of a second, in the wake of two black holes that had merged more than 1 billion years before. That was not a brighter view of something already seen. It was a new sense, as different from seeing as hearing is from seeing, and it was aimed straight at the two objects I had worked hardest to weigh fairly. The black hole, whose reality the old astronomy could only infer from the motion of light around it, and the neutron star, whose interior the old astronomy could not reach at all and could barely begin to guess. I wrote this book the way I have written all the others, as a juror and not an advocate. Every claim carries a mark for how well it is supported and not for how much I would like it to be true. Established science for what is replicated and mechanistically understood. Contested but serious for what able people still fight over in good faith. Speculative bridge for a link plausible in principle but not yet demonstrated, and a plainer verdict still for the claims the evidence will simply not bear. I have a particular reason for candor here, because this is the volume where the series' own instincts were put on trial by measurement and did not all survive. Method over allegiance is easy to profess when the method flatters you. It is worth something only when it costs you, and here it cost me. The book runs in 7 movements. The first builds the new sense from the ground up. I refuse to let the reader take the machines on faith, so I spend a chapter on what a gravitational wave physically is, a traveling change in the shape of space-time, permitted only by the quadrupole rule, stretching space along one axis while squeezing it along another in the patterns we call plus and cross, and doing so by a strain so unimaginably small, 1 part in 10 to the 21st. That the reason no one built this year sooner is written into the smallness itself. I trace the century of doubt from Einstein's own grudging and repeatedly reversed prediction to the Hulse-Taylor binary pulsar, whose orbit decayed on the exact schedule the waves required and made their reality establish science long before anyone heard one directly. Then I stand inside the extraordinary instrument that measured a change in length smaller than the width of a proton, the LIGO interferometer, so the reader understands it as an ear and not one more telescope. The second movement is the first notes, and they are black holes heard. I tell GW1 FIMS 0914 at full strength, the chirp rising in pitch and volume over 0.2 of a second, read out as 2 black holes of about 36 and 29 solar masses becoming one, and I show how a waveform encodes its source across in-spiral, merger, and ring-down. The growing census of mergers has already delivered surprises, black holes and mass ranges stellar theory did not expect, and I grade the population honestly. The ring-down, the dying tone of the newborn whole, is the one direct exam the event horizon has ever faced. And I treat the search for echoes that might betray something other than a horizon as an open and legitimate question rather than a settled one. The third movement is the landmark, and it is the heart of the book. August of 2017, the neutron star merger GW170817, heard and seen at once. I give it a chapter each for its 3 gifts. The first is the speed of gravity pinned to the speed of light by a coincidence of a gamma-ray burst arriving 1 7/10 of a second after the gravitational signal from the same collision, and here is the defeat I promised to report. The 8th volume gave the electric gravity and ether programs their fairest hearing. That single coincidence drove them into their graves, and I will not soften it, because a court that buries its own side's losses is no court. The second gift is the kilonova, the glow that wrote the origin of gold across the sky and caught our process nucleosynthesis in the act, forging the heavy elements before our instruments. The third is the first real handle on the neutron star interior, read from the tidal deformation the two stars imposed on each other in their last orbits. The equation of state, which the old astronomy could not touch, now constrained by ear. The fourth movement widens to all four messengers: light, gravity, neutrinos, and cosmic rays, and the violent magnetized plasma sky they reveal together. This is where the series' deeper thread runs true, and I credit it in full. Neutrino astronomy. The ghost particles traced back to a flaring blazar, the highest energy sky of cosmic rays and gamma rays flung out by magnetized accelerators. The fast radio bursts now tied to magnetars. These are, overwhelmingly, the physics of magnetized plasma threaded by magnetic fields, exactly the violent universe the electric instinct kept insisting was there. Where that instinct describes the engines of the violent sky, this book says so plainly. Where it overreached into a theory of gravity, this book records where it fell. Both halves are true, and I keep them from blurring. The fifth movement climbs the whole frequency ladder. From the kilohertz chirps, the ground detectors catch down to the nanohertz hum that a galaxy of pulsars revealed in 2023. A background I read as the collective murmur of supermassive black hole binaries across cosmic time. A genuinely new result I mark as strong, but still maturing. Pulsars become clocks, and an array of them becomes a detector the size of the galaxy. Below even that waits the millihertz band that LISA will open in space. The sixth movement asks what the new sense buys the old questions. Standard sirens that weigh the expanding universe without the distance ladder and so bear directly on the Hubble tension. The sternest strong field test Einstein's theory has yet faced, which so far it passes. Black hole demographics as a record of how stars live and die. And the R process folded back into the series' long transmutation thesis about where the elements are made. The seventh movement looks to the machines already rising. The Einstein telescope, Cosmic Explorer, and the search for primordial waves from the universe's first instant, and renders the verdict. And the verdict is unusual for a book built on a razor because so much of what it reports is simply established. The waves are real, the mergers are real, the speed of gravity equals the speed of light, gold is forged in colliding neutron stars, Einstein holds in the strong field. That is a heavy weight of settled science to set beside the honest specter of the rooms that remain dark. The neutron star interior only bracketed and not solved, the nanohertz background not yet fully resolved into its sources, the primordial signal still unheard. I mark exactly where the light stops. I did not want to end in either triumph or apology. What I will commit to is this. The sky was ringing all along in a register no eye could catch, and we have only just built the ear. This is the honest account of what it has heard. A method put on trial by measurement, crediting the electric instinct where the violent plasma universe proved it right, recording without flinching the one place it met a measurement and lost. We are the animal that built a second sense and turned it on the dark, and the discipline that makes the hearing worth trusting is the same one that made me report my own side's defeat. Grade the evidence, name the unknown, and let the verdict fall where the measurement puts it.